Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new Patron server. Here we are on New Helena, where I'm currently stood in New Helena in the market space, where everybody's happy and ready to be selling their wares. You can have a member cam just over there, sort of. Oh, and what an auspicious day to start. Right. So, New Helena is up. It has been running for about a week now, give or take. And we've already had a few bugs and glitches, which you will no doubt see in my coverage of the opening event. But the first thing that we are going to be looking at today is the coding on Meander over here. Meander is one of our ferry operators. The ferry operators are the means by which you can get around to all of the different places very quickly, relatively cheaply, just 2 gold coins. Every daily quest gives out free, so that's enough to get here and get some food or just some other stuff. And basically, if you don't have the time to be sailing around the entire huge map, then you can quite happily just come to a ferry operator, pay a couple gold coins, and off you go. So, how does all of that work? Well, the first thing that we need to know is that this is using custom NPCs, and it's using scripting. So over there we have a scripted door, Greg is scripted, Meander and all the other ferry operators are scripted, and all sorts. And the first thing that they need to know is where exactly are they sending you. So if I just shift click over here, I can go to the bedrock box, which is nice and comfy. So over here, we have an NPC called Guidebook. And Guidebook does heck all for the most part. Guidebook has one operation, manages the region TP location. So we go to tab 1 here. We have an init event, and we boot that up, we get the world from the NPC in the event, we make sure that we actually know that we're rebooting the guidebook, that's not really a massive thing, and then we get the stored data and we put all of these different values. Now, for example, here we have New Helena, 726810, that's a string. We can put numbers and other things, but we're just using strings for the most part here for convenience. So we do all that. And then every time that Guidebook reboots, that gets added to the world data. Now we are using stored, which means that that is permadata, as opposed to temp, which is every time the world is loaded, the entity is loaded, that kind of thing. And if we come over to this scripted block over here, we get an idea of exactly why we're doing it that way. So, get world, get stored data, so that's the data we just set, get the value of New Helena, that string name. So we're getting that chunk of coordinates that is the location where you get teleported to on New Helena. If we manage to find that, then what happens next is we execute the command TP space get display name, so me in that case, underscore line, and then another space, and then that destination, that string. So we are completing a entire command line right here, and that is the same code that is used by every single one of the actual ferry operators. Now, it is worth noting that the Custom NPCs mod does actually have a teleporter system built into it, but there's a slight problem for it for our purposes, which is that it's free. If there is a teleporter around and you unlock them, which is usually you find them, you go up to them, you right click on them, whatever, you can go from any of their teleport locations to any other teleport location you found for free. There is no way in the mod to actually add a cost to that. So, in actuality, the ferry operators are traders. So we go to here, we click there, we see it says trader up here, and we got all of this list, and you can buy boats from them, you can sell boats to them, more or less, and whenever you grab one of these varied commodities coin iron that has a name on it, you will get teleported. Specifically, only these. So, how we've done that is we go into here, we check this out, talk about this little top function at the top here in a moment. So, role events. This is where everything gets really interesting, because firstly, traders have 2 different kinds of role events. They have trade failed and they have trade. And you don't distinguish between those in this code. Unfortunately, that's a big pain, but nonetheless, we get through it. So the first thing we do is we grab the NPC, we grab the cargo, which is our player, the person who's actually buying anything, and we check the class string name of the event itself. And that gives us some idea of what kind of event we're dealing with. In this case, if it is of class NOPS NPCs API event role event $ trade failed event, which is to say, if this is a time where you have tried to buy something that you don't actually have the currency for, then we can actually catch that. We also, and cargo is in game mode 0, which basically means that creative players can get through Meander at the very least for free. NPC says, better luck next time, skin Flint, closes the GUI, returns, so nothing happens. So that's one little thing we have here, which just prevents people from getting teleported if they can't actually afford the trip. Then, else, if the event currency 1, which is to say the first thing that gets sold, is of name Minecraft Boat, NPC says, let me tell you about a thing the maths peeps call inflation. Event sold equals null, close the GUI and return. Same kind of thing, basically. This is a recent addition, as in it was literally added today, because it became increasingly apparent that people could craft boats very, very cheaply, very, very easily, and trade them for a lot of money. Now, I think originally this value was 1 gold coin. I downgraded it to silver, to a 6 silver. 9 silver go into 1 gold, and 9 gold go into 1 diamond. But, yeah, people have created a boom of currency. And whilst I'm definitely not against people having ways of making money in the system, that was a huge inflationary concern, so I downgraded it, and now I've just got the NPCs saying that inflation has driven the buying power of a boat to basically nil, because literal hundreds of boats have been sold in the past week. So that may change. We can do more complex things with that in the future. So for example, we can build in an inflation system where we can change the value of this based on how many boats are bought from the ferry traders and whatnot. But I digress. So, if we get past all of that, that means this is perfectly paid for and everything's ready. So we'll go to the thing that we've sold, that is the iron coin that we saw, which has all the different names. We get the name of that coin, so get display name as opposed to get name, which is the item name itself. And then we go into the actual NPC world stored data, and we get the value of that name. That's why all of those locations are listed by their actual full names. So that gets us the teleport coordinates. So next, if the item that has been bought is an iron coin, which is to say if it's not a boat, mostly, then if we couldn't find the destination for whatever reason, then we just say there's an error, nothing happens after that point. Otherwise, we say our little get comments, which I'll talk about in a quick moment, and we execute the full command that we saw in our scripted block back in the bedrock box. Pretty straightforward. And then we just say that nothing was sold, so the iron coins don't end up in circulation. There's not a problem with them doing so, but they're not supposed to be, so we're trying to keep them from doing so. So, the commentary. One of the things that the ferry operators work for in the course of New Helena is that they are local flavor. Every single island region has a ferry operator. Be it Ikon in Phantom Keep, be it Rumscuttle in Weaver's Way, be it Kikijik in Kainadara, be it Meander here in New Helena. Everywhere has a ferry operator. And that means that the ferry operators can talk to you and give you some kind of insight into the region that you're in as well as the region that you're going to. So, they all have this function get comment. And I wish I could put this on a different tab, but different tabs don't share functions. So what we've got here is a listing of all the different locations alphabetically, as well as a potential return if it goes wrong. And all of this gives us some idea of what, at the very least, this particular ferry operator thinks about the region that you're teleporting to. So, for example, if we go to Weaver's Way, it says, if you see Barry, tell him he still owes me 30 gold. A lot of the ferry operators are wary of Weaver's Way, and all sorts. Phantom's Keep says, look out for ghosts. Ramshackle Reach, enjoy the fresh air. Four Leaves, good luck. Dunhas Hills, which is a nice popular tourist location, says, send me a postcard. Kainadari says, say hi to little puppers for me, and all sorts. So that gives us a little bit of RP flavor, a little bit of lore, from the action of using the ferry operators. So that is how the ferry operators work. Now, I said we could make the inflation system that we have going here a bit more complex. Now, what we could do is have two values, or just have one value, which is boats, in the actual stored data of the world. So every time someone buys a boat, that number decrements. Every time someone sells a boat, that number increments. So the higher the value of that particular variable in the data, we could change the actual cost of like, we could change the actual purchase and sell of boats inside of the trade window, up until a point where they just stop selling them, like, buying them off you. That's one thing that we could do, and we might do that in the future. This is pretty much just a stopgap for the time being. But that is it for today. I will be showing off a bit more stuff in the following episodes. This place is utterly gorgeous, and I'm already enjoying all the fun that we're having around here. But for now, that I believe will be it. So I shall, as ever, catch you all next time.